Man, what another fine day. Freaking day, dude. In Idaho.
Cheers. Cheers. Episode 3 of The Send, Idaho, is complete.
And boy, well, ladies and gentlemen, it is spectacular.
It is with great pleasure to report to you that Murphy and I can both now check off bull trout from our species list.
We praise God on high.
Oh my God, dude. I mean, what a day.
It was incredible.
I'm sorry, I can't even run through the day. I just had to jump straight to bull trout.
Well, it really was the day because it's what started the day.
I guess, yeah, we did start the day
It's literally the first fish that was caught today.
With an absolute heater.
Was a bull trout. The first.
Yeah. Which doesn't make sense to me because Murphy was like, hey, you should just go run that streamer through, make sure it works.
Well, so we eat breakfast. And we gotta really do it justice here.
Yeah.
We eat breakfast. We were having a crisis last night. So let's take a few steps back before we really get into the day. So last night we rewarded ourselves with a no camera fishing session.
Yeah.
Just behind you guys right now, there is a spectacular riffle within, 100 yards of the camp. I mean, you could probably hear it while this is going here. And we went down there, and after having multiple beers and some whiskey and just enjoying the night, we're here catching fish on streamers right behind the camp.
Yeah.
And it's last night, we go bang, bang, 2 really respectable cutthroats. It's like, well, man, we're going to have to fish that first thing in the morning. So we get up, get a nice late sleep, wake up around 7:30, eat breakfast, re-rig our stuff because last night in the drunken stupor of streamer fishing, we were breaking lines and tangling stuff. So we had to get all re-rigged.
I don't know how, yeah. Neither of us went in the water somehow.
We
weren't wearing waders. I was wearing sandals, jumping from rock to rock. We finished a flask of whiskey, multiple beer. It was, hilarious.
I mean, it was a great night.
Yeah.
But so surprisingly, we ended up, or not surprisingly, we ended up having to re-rig. So
very expectedly
had to re-rig our stuff. So we're just like, you know what? That was the glory hole yesterday. Let's go visit again. So
the glory hole.
The glory hole. It was the holy grail.
If we say that 2 more times, we're getting demonetized.
So we had to go visit the spot again. It was too good to be true. And so Jake puts just some random streamer on. Why not? We don't have another sinking setup, so he grabs a Euro nymphing rig because it's fluorocarbon and it's heavy and will help get a lightweight streamer down a little bit further.
Yep.
And so you take it from here. I don't want to steal the thunder of this glorious moment.
Yeah, and I don't know. It was a couple drifts in, 2, 3 drifts maybe, because Murphy had started filming. He filmed me walking down. And I mean, the clip wasn't even that long, so it must have been 2, 3 drifts in.
Very, very quick.
I send a nice cast all the way across, right where I wanted it to be. And, I let it swing a little bit. I'm doing small little strips. And right when it starts to straighten out, there's a tug. And, I'm not by any means a good streamer fisherman, so I don't strip set at all. I just immediately go for the upstream hook set, which normally is not great. But in this case, it worked, and the fish starts flopping on the surface. And Murphy and I, both being fish nerds, there's a fish flop that is different for each fish.
Yes.
And it just wasn't a cutthroat flop.
It was only 2 colors.
Yep.
And cutthroats.
It wasn't fat.
It wasn't fat. There was no olive. There wasn't that nice.
It wasn't shiny.
Red. It wasn't shiny. And we're both thinking independently of each other.
Yeah.
Holy.
We don't want to say anything
smokes.
because then you lose the fish. But it's coming my way. I'm thinking, could this be it? I'm still like in my head, it's got to be a cutthroat. But I'm reeling it in, bringing it into the bank, and sure enough, it's like splashing at our feet, and we're like,
oh my God,
this is it.
This is the one.
This is the bull trout.
This is a 2-year quest for us, and it's within a rod length. Like, get that fish in.
We didn't bring a net. We don't have a net. Bring
we're
any camera gear down other than the big camera. We didn't bring like
no,
like didn't bring the film camera. Nothing down. So
nothing. And we're not even in waders.
Yeah,
we just
we're not
walk,
in waders.
We just walk down the hill.
But sure enough, I'm able to get my hands on this bull trout, and Murphy captured the entire glorious moment that you guys saw in the video.
And honest to God, that's the little dabbling I do with videography with Jake and trying to capture these awesome moments for both of our memories and then for you all to enjoy. As fly fishermen, a hook set on a bull trout in the remote backcountry of Idaho, and to capture the whole fight really is
special.
That is the shot that anyone that enjoys doing this dreams about. Jake and I have put in a couple years on this quest. We've spent a lot of time researching our locations.
A lot of money.
A lot of shit ton of money between the two of us to make these things happen. And to have it all come to fruition just almost jokingly easy.
Yeah.
It just felt...
It was silly. Like, we were just doing that just to flick a streamer in.
Sure. But it's also an affirmation for, it's like, okay, we did what we needed to do to be in the spot where a simple streamer flick, unwader clad, with nothing really to show for it was there. We were in that moment, and we put ourselves there through a lot of research and patience, and it was just really sweet to see that whole thing come to fruition, and for you all to get to be able to see that and relive that with us is a privilege.
Yeah, so I'll probably be framing one of those photos.
Oh, for sure.
That's going up in the office. No doubt, because that is a fish that I've wanted to catch for a long time.
Yeah.
And over the last 2 years, it's become #1 on my hit list. So
yeah,
checked off #1. Absolutely amazing feeling. And then, of course, we're riding, the most amazing high. We had these beautiful chicken burritos. We catch the golden species that we wanted to catch immediately in the morning. And we're like, well, nothing else could happen the rest of the day. We could go back to bed.
Right.
And we'll be happy.
We'll be fine. But
of course, we're not going to do
no, heck no. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning. Of course, we got a lot more stuff to do. So we start moving our way downstream, and we find ourselves in a couple really spectacular runs. And there's a very stark difference in the quality of angling experience that Jake and I had. Jake was an absolute rock star.
I was riding high.
Oh, man. Jake was like, he took that bull trout high and rode that off into the sunset. And it was like, I don't know how many fish you hooked on a streamer in that run. 10? Yeah. I mean, it was wild. It seemed like every time I looked over at him, he was bowed up or going, because he missed one.
Yeah, and I mean, I was getting short struck a lot, so I probably could have tweaked flies and, changed out for something else. But when we're just out here vibing, we don't have a tally that we're keeping. We don't have numbers that we're trying to hit. We're just having a good time. And I found this certain spot on the bank where if I put the fly on that spot and just let it free drift off, I would get a hit. And so I would hit that spot, let it drift off, get a hit, either catch the fish or miss it, walk down a foot, hit that spot, let it drift. And it was just automatic. I probably had 10 to 15 opportunities and landed maybe 7 fish or so.
Yeah,
but
I'd say 50% is probably pretty.
Yeah, maybe not quite 7, maybe 5. But still, it was awesome fishing, and they were all very respectable fish, 15-inch plus fish.
Yeah, and as far as these west slopes, they're not a trout that gets enormous.
Yeah.
So a 15-inch fish, you're getting to a respectable size. Really a true trophy is probably a 20-inch fish.
Yeah.
And we've yet to see one of those. We've caught lots of fish in the upper teens now at this point after today, but really to get consistent 14 to 16-inch fish on a streamer is a pretty special moment for Jake. So it was really nice to watch him do that while I'm down about 100 yards down the bank, absolutely just struggling.
Kerfuffled.
Oh, man, I was having a go at it. It seems like about one angling event per send, or just really any trip I do. I tend to have one moment where I just for whatever reason, can't do seemingly anything right. Whether that's pick the right fly or tie the right, tie a good knot or use the right type of tippet or make a good cast or avoid getting a wind knot or having a backlash or just something. I always have something that goes on.
I was like having my heyday, and every time I would look down, I would see Murphy either undoing a knot or walking towards the bank looking sad because he had to, change out flies because he broke off. And I'm like, this poor SOB is having a moment right now, and I just need to let him do his thing.
I was having a moment, and I feel bad because this whole mission that we've really put hardcore angling on this trip on the back burner for the sake of getting good video.
Yeah.
And that's been a change for us because Jake and I would sure everyone would understand, are very serious anglers, and we like to catch fish, and it's an important part.
Our normal routine is strap on the GoPro, go our separate ways in the same vicinity, and both catch a ton of fish, and use GoPro footage because neither of us wants to run a camera when there's the opportunity to catch a ton of fish. But we're changed now.
We've changed that up. I think the last send sort of started that for us. And now it's like, there's actually a whole new passion for the videography of the whole thing. And so we've been trading shots. Depending on if we're dry fly fishing, we'll go 2 or 3 takes. Depending on what, or streamer fishing, we'll go a take or 2. Yeah. And then swap out if it's a one-man hole for the sake of getting the shot. So, but in that moment where I'm struggling, I'm like, screw that freaking camera. I just got to catch a fish for my confidence. And we go through the rest of the morning up until lunch, and I don't really have a whole lot to show for it. I missed probably 10 fish on dries. I broke off a streamer on a sloppy backcast. I mean, it was just not good. So at this point, it was like, okay, we need to reset. Let's just go get lunch. And so Jake continues to keep the vibes of the camp high while I'm having a little internal crisis about like, gotta get myself out of this.
What's going on?
Gotta get myself out of this funk. So we eat lunch, and then we decide to move off and go elsewhere.
Yeah, but we left camp here because, honestly, this has been the best campsite by far.
Slam dunk campsite.
Just sitting right on the river, right at the spot where I caught my bull trout. We don't even pick up all our gear. We just throw it out. We assume that people are good. And,
it seems like
normally it pays off. Yeah. And so, we had pretty much an empty truck. Somebody was nice enough to leave some firewood out, so we collected some firewood for tonight's fire, and we headed upstream from our campsite to a different fork of the river and ended up finding essentially Glory Hole 2.
Yeah.
We got one more to say.
Okay, well, we're done with that now. So, it was really a incredible spot. Not hard to get to at all.
No, right off the road.
It was right off the road.
Very obvious.
Very obvious spot. You look at it and you got this fast riffle, super strong riffle with huge, semi-truck sized boulders. You'll see it. We climb up on one of them to really approach this hole appropriately. But it's just car-sized boulders, semi-truck sized boulders, just shockingly huge rocks in this spot. But it all funneled down at just the absolute perfect current velocity into this nice flat run, and it carried that velocity out so you could just get the most magical swing of a streamer that you could ask for. And so we climb up on this big boulder.
Well, I went up on the boulder first to film Murphy, and I'm like, I see what looked to be just 6 bull trout sitting right next to the rock. I'm like, Murphy, go grab the rods. We're both getting up on this rock. We're fishing from this rock.
Yes. Yeah, so we had initially tried approaching it from the riffle and then quartering downstream, and I did some strips through there, and it wasn't right. So we had to get up on the rock to really fish it appropriately. And I caught a fish on a dry fly, which was cool, just to try and shake the dust off. So it's awesome, and it was a very respectable cutthroat, but I needed to shake that dust off from the other one. So that was a good confidence boosting fish. And so after I caught my fish, it was Jake's turn because we've been trading shots.
Well, you actually didn't you hook your other one before I caught mine, or no?
No.
Okay. So so Murphy hands me the rod and
the streamer rod.
Yeah, the streamer rod. And so Murphy hands me the streamer rod, and I end up hopping up there. I send a cast across, pretty much using the same method that I was using before lunch. Let it sit through few strips. Right as it starts to really get its swing going, I'm tight. And I had mentally been telling myself, like, strip set. And I feel like I actually kind of did it on that one. Like, I don't know. As a non-streamer fisherman, it's going to be interesting to watch this footage back and see. But I get a good set on it, and it immediately starts doing the different flop. And Murphy and I are both immediately like, and this time we set it early because I had already caught one. We were like,
we knew it.
That's a bull trout.
That's a bull trout.
And
that's
so
a bull trout.
I don't even know how I got down from the rock. I kind of blacked out, but I just jump off this rock.
Yeah, you pretty much jumped square off the rock.
Yeah.
Just outright, like...
I don't know why I went that way. There was a nice, easy way to go to land a fish, but I decided to just jump off the rock.
Yeah.
Either way, the fishes hook great. They're barbless hooks, but it's still a streamer, so it's chunky hooks. And I get this fish to my hand, and I'm just in awe. It's another beautiful, smaller than my first, but beautiful bull trout.
Probably a 14-inch fish, maybe 15-inch fish.
Yeah, a young fish, healthy.
But nonetheless, for anyone that tries to fish
2.
for bull trout, it's not a gimme fish. Yeah. And now we have 2 bull trout tallied on for the day. And so I'm just in awe. Yeah. I don't know how much Jake got of this, but I pounded that spot with a streamer. And for whatever reason, maybe it was my angle, maybe it was how I was letting it swing. I don't know. I wasn't catching fish. I hand the rod to Jake. He catches a bull trout. So I'm like, son of a
I was
bitch.
Just using that morning juju. Something about... I just had the streamer angle for some reason.
You must have picked up the right amount of trash at some point to boost that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good karma.
Karma. Something. So, now we're trading shot for shot.
Yeah.
Did I catch a little cutthroat on the streamer, or did you? I almost can't remember. It was such a whirlwind of activity.
I mean, we both caught cutthroat on the streamer.
Yes.
I caught 2 on the streamer.
I think I might
caught
have
a bull and two cutties there.
I might have caught 1 cutthroat on the streamer.
Yeah, you did.
But
it was a small one.
It was such a whirlwind of bites in this location on the streamer. It almost seemed like every time we handed the rod off to each other, it wasn't
for the first 20 minutes.
For the first 20 minutes, it was almost like you were getting a bite.
Yeah.
And so I do that same line that Jake did when he hooked his bull trout. There was a nice big rock. It was a good target. Slap that streamer out there, and like Jake, I am not a proficient streamer fisherman. I'm not. I would put myself at something slightly above intermediate level fly fisherman, just enough to get by, but not enough to claim any level of legitimate skill. But I end up landing this same cast. I let it do a soft swing out, strip, boom, comes tight, rod loads up, and I'm like, oh, that feels freaking big. And sure enough, up from the depths comes this big black and white fish just flopping. It's like, oh my God, that's a 20+ inch bull trout sitting there just going crazy in that run. And for whatever reason, barbless hooks or whatnot, I felt like I had good tension, but boop.
Well, wasn't that actually, you fished that one from the right?
No.
You casted downstream quartering right. And so you're stripping straight upstream when that fish hit.
Was that how I got that bite?
So that's the toughest hook set you can ask for there. So
Well,
I think that's why that fish popped.
Either way, I didn't land it, but it was for sure a big bull trout.
Bull. It was a 20
20+er.
20 something, yeah.
Yeah,
It was a
20+er.
really big fish, and it was like, you knew it was a bull trout just because of the way it was.
You know it is because of the way that it is.
It was a thick one.
Yes.
It was much thicker than the ones I'd caught.
From my perspective, I could see the fish. It was a bull trout.
Yeah.
And God, if it was a cutthroat, holy smokes, but it was a bull trout.
Yeah.
And I ended up losing that fish, so...
Now Murphy's very defeated, but...
Not totally defeated, but it's
keeping the rod in hand.
The hope was reinvigorated, because I was questioning our streamer selection on this, but Jake had caught one, so it's like, okay, this thing does work.
Yeah.
And so, lob it back in there, and it wasn't shortly thereafter that I come tight on another fish, and it's thumping hard, and I'm like, man, that feels like a big fish. That doesn't feel like a cutthroat. It just feels heavy. They feel dense.
It doesn't feel cutthroaty.
It doesn't feel cutthroaty. Yes. So, here we go. We're back to the rodeo. And this time, so I'm hooked up. This fish comes running upstream.
As soon as we see it, we know bull.
We know it's bull trout.
Yeah.
So we're calling it. That's bull trout.
That's bull trout. Bull trout. This is it. We got to land this fish.
And so I'm running around one side of the rocks. This fish, this big boulder we're on, This fish is trying to swim underneath this boulder, so I got my rod stuck way out.
Yeah, I'm telling Murphy, I'm like, go left, because the fish was coming up left. And then all of a sudden, Murph gets all the way to left. The fish decides, I want to go downstream now.
Yeah, and so this fish starts running down and I'm like scrambling around and finally get the fish into some calmer water, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is like an 18, 19-inch bull trout. This is, a sturdy fish. Compared to a lot of the fish that we've been catching, that's sort of the upper end of what we've been seeing. So it was pretty exciting.
And I had to throw him the net, so that's the pause in the video for a second, because I got to get him the net, and he gets that bull trout in hand, and that was just felt like trip was complete. Like,
yes.
The Idaho send, that was the fish that we wanted to catch on this trip.
We needed it, and we both got it. And so not only did we capture one bull trout hook set, we caught 2 bull trout hook sets on streamers. Like, that just doesn't happen. That's you can peruse all of YouTube.
You can try for a long time.
And a hook set
There's maybe 5 to 10 videos on YouTube.
I haven't seen any.
I've seen a few.
Wildfly guys have a couple hook sets.
Yeah, and a few other guys. I've seen a few.
It's not something that you see very regularly.
No.
There's a million rainbow trout hook sets. There's a million brown trout hook sets. There's a million cutthroat hook sets. But bull trout hook sets, you don't get those. And we got 2 in a day.
Yep.
And got the whole fights, got the fish landed, got awesome pictures. These fish, we got them in, wet hands.
Took care of them, yeah.
Let the fish go. All 3 of the bull trout we caught today swam off strong, and it's just like,
which is the biggest part.
For sure. Really it's a rare fish, and you want to prioritize that fish's health.
Apparently not that rare around here though.
Not as much as we would have thought when we had fished the Metolius last year, but they seemed a lot more. What's the word I'm looking for? In the Metolius, they seemed a lot less willing to play the game. Here, it seems like they're willing to cooperate a little bit more for us.
We're very remote out here. It takes a lot to get out to where we are. The Metolius in Oregon it's known. This is known, but you still have to trek 3 hours on gravel roads to get to it.
It is so far back here. And we've seen lots of folks back here camping for elk, and some folks are pleasure camping, but not a ton of people are fishing until tonight. Where
still though, we only probably saw maybe 4 or 5 cars tonight.
4 or 5 cars, but we were playing hole hop, like leapfrog almost. Yeah. Across these holes, we would hit a spot, and then that same silver truck would hit a spot, and then the red truck would be up at them, and then we would be past them, and then we'd see the silver truck drive past, and then the guy with an ATV that we saw would drive past, and then we'd hole hop that one.
The ATV with the lady that Murphy thought was dead.
Oh, this was so bizarre.
This lady was just sleeping on the ATV very normally. I didn't think anything of it. Murphy's like, we need to go check on her.
Dude, there is nothing normal about a woman curled up in the blazing hot sun in the fetal position on top of an ATV.
Girls run cold. She was probably perfect temperature.
Dog, she looked
Tell me I'm wrong, ladies. Tell me I'm wrong.
I don't know. Maybe
her dog was sleeping right under her. Dude, she looked like she was having a great time.
It was really a strange thing to see, and I felt uneasy about it. But my wife said no unnecessary risks. So here's this woman.
Yeah, shout out Trisha. She said we're not allowed to help anyone.
We're not allowed to help a single person because it could be a trap. So here's this lady curled in the fetal position in the blazing hot sun on top of this.
It wasn't blazing hot. It's 65 degrees.
Dude, in the sun, it's like 85 degrees. It's freaking hot. It's hot. It's hot. We were sweating today. You're gonna tell me you weren't sweating today?
I mean, I was sweating, but it wasn't 85 degrees.
In the right direct sun, man?
No, it was maybe 71.
Come on, man. Either way, it didn't look normal. And so we left her to be peaceful. And turns out she wasn't dead. So that was all in all, it was good sign. So,
but man, it has been an absolute stunner of a day. One that I will never forget. The Idaho send, we caught the fish that we wanted to catch.
Yes, we did.
And I could not be more thankful for this trip, for these adventures that we have together, and for this beautiful scenery and the river that we have behind us.
We are beyond blessed. And we have been saying this entire trip, I bet, once every half hour, oh my God, look at how beautiful it is.
Yeah.
Or in some capacity, something like that.
We have like a beautiful vista up here. We were glassing it with the binoculars earlier.
It's just
binos. Thank you, Hadley.
Yes, binos.
And yeah, it's a stunning landscape. We have like The leaves are turning. River's just a perfect level. Everything just seems happy right now.
It is peak existence.
Yeah.
And for those fishermen out there that are thinking about doing a trip to the Idaho backcountry or any remote location,
Yeah.
it's worth it.
Yeah, just do it.
It's just do it. You'd only have so much time in your life to pull these things off.
And I mean, we talk about money, but realistically, these trips aren't super expensive.
No.
As long as you're equipped.
No, we're DIYing it, and if you have a tent, if you have some way to cook your food,
Yeah.
and you have a car, you really can do this. It's not something that is out of reach for people to get into these places, to see the things that we're experiencing and showing you. It's not impossible. Yes, it takes an insane commitment. Yes, you got to take off time from work.
And you got to plan.
You got to plan. We spent, I mean, honestly, months bouncing ideas off of each other, and had multiple sessions where we're calling each other and sitting up at night trying to map things out and looking at other people's videos and reading online articles and research papers from various universities on stuff. I mean, we did a deep dive, and so we put ourselves in the position to have a really awesome trip. But it's accessible, and everyone can do it, and I think everyone should do it, because it's you feel like it's a once in a lifetime experience, but you could just come out here and do it. Like,
Yeah. It's a once in a year experience.
it's a once in a year experience
us,
if you're filming the send. Yeah.
We got to figure out what's next, but man, it has been a special one from Idaho.
Yes.
Both of us have knocked off our number one bucket list fish species.
For sure.
And
For sure.
we still have a day. So
We got a
there's
day.
still anything
Day
that can
and a
happen.
half.
Day
Really?
and a half, yeah.
Yeah.
So tomorrow we're going to be going up a different fork of this river.
And we're going to go way up.
We're going to go way up. We're going to try and get away from some folks, go
Yes.
into some upper echelon water, and then we have hopefully a beautiful overlook campsite as our last night of camping
Yes.
out here in Idaho.
Yep. That's the goal. We're living the dream out here, and we're glad that you folks are sticking along, coming with us for it. So it's awesome. It's awesome.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed episode 3 of the Idaho Send. We're out of here.